The town of Redemption Creek had a problem. And her name was Esther Blackwood. At least that's what everyone said. Esther was the problem. Esther was the witch. Esther was the reason crops failed and milk soured and children got sick. Never mind that Esther had lived in Redemption Creek for 5 years without incident. Never mind that she was a quiet woman who kept to herself, grew herbs in her garden, and helped sick animals. Never mind that she'd never hurt anyone. Old Maggie Brewster's cow died? Esther's fault. Young Timothy broke his arm falling from a tree? Esther cursed him. Pastor John's wife left him for a traveling salesman? Obviously, Esther cast a spell. It didn't matter that none of it made sense. Fear doesn't need sense. Fear just needs a target. And Esther was an easy target. She was unmarried. She lived alone. She knew things about herbs and healing that seemed mysterious to simple folk. She had dark hair and darker eyes and a way of looking at people that made them uncomfortable. So when someone started the rumor that Esther was a witch, the town believed it. And once a town believes something, it's hard to change their minds. That's how Esther ended up tied to a wooden stake in the middle of the town square, waiting to burn. The stake was tall and thick, driven deep into the ground. Esther's hands were tied behind her back around the stake. Her feet were bound together. Kindling and dry wood were piled around her legs, reaching up to her knees. The sun was setting. The whole town had gathered to watch. Men, women, even children. They stood in a circle around Esther, their faces angry and afraid and excited all at once. Pastor John held a torch. His hand shook slightly. "Esther Blackwood," he announced in his loudest voice, "you have been found guilty of witchcraft, of consorting with dark forces, of bringing evil upon this God-fearing town." "I'm not a witch," Esther said. Her voice was calm, though her heart was racing. "I've never hurt anyone." "Lies?" someone shouted from the crowd. "She cursed my chickens," another voice called. "She gave my husband the evil eye." Pastor John raised his hand for silence. "Do you deny that you practice dark arts? That you make potions and speak to spirits?" "I make medicine from plants," Esther said. "I talk to animals because they're better company than most people. That's not witchcraft. That's just living." "She admits it." Old Maggie shrieked. "She speaks to creatures. That's the devil's work." The crowd murmured agreement. Fear rippled through them like wine through wheat. Pastor John looked uncomfortable. He was a weak man, easily swayed. He hadn't wanted this to go so far, but the town demanded justice. Or what they call justice. "The sentence is death by fire," he said quietly. "May God have mercy on your soul." He lowered the torch toward the kindling. "Wait." Everyone turned. A man pushed through the crowd. He was tall and well-dressed, with a thick beard and sharp eyes. He wore a fine suit and a hat that cost more than most people in town made in a month. It was William Cartwright, the mayor of Redemption Creek, the richest man in 3 counties, owner of the largest ranch, the biggest general store, and half the buildings in town. "Mayor Cartwright," Pastor John said, surprised. "We didn't expect you. We thought you were indisposed." "I'm here now," William said. His voice carried authority. When William Cartwright spoke, people listened. "And I'm calling a halt to these proceedings." The crowd erupted in protest. "You can't stop this. She's a witch. Justice must be served." William held up his hand. "Like magic, real magic, not the kind they accused Esther of." The crowd fell silent. "I'm the mayor of this town," William said coldly. "I make the decisions here. Not a mob. Not even a pastor." He looked at Pastor John, who wilted under his gaze. "This woman will be held overnight. I will question her personally. If I determine she's guilty, she'll burn tomorrow. But not today." It wasn't mercy. It was control. William Cartwright didn't care about justice or witches. He cared about power. And he didn't like when the town did things without his permission. "Cut her down," he ordered. 2 men reluctantly stepped forward and cut Esther's bonds. She collapsed, her legs weak from standing so long. William grabbed her arm, not gently, and pulled her upright. "Take her to the old barn on my property," he told his men. "Lock her inside. No one goes near her but me. Understood?" The crowd wasn't happy, but no one dared argue with William Cartwright. He owned too much. He controlled too much. Cross him and you might lose your job, your home, your livelihood. William dragged Esther through the crowd. People spat at her as she passed. Someone threw a rock that hit her shoulder. She didn't cry out. They reached William's horse and wagon. He threw her into the back like a sack of grain. "Stay down," he growled. "Don't make a sound." Esther stayed down. She listened to the horses' hooves on the dirt road. She felt every bump and jolt. She thought about running, but where would she go? The whole town wanted her dead. 20 minutes later, the wagon stopped. William pulled her out and shoved her toward a barn. It was old and weathered, far from his main ranch house. A place no one would think to look. He pushed her inside and locked the door behind them. Then he lit a lantern. In the flickering light, Esther saw his face properly for the first time. He looked tired. No more than tired. He looked sick. His skin was pale and clammy. His eyes were bloodshot. He moved like everything hurt. "Sit," he said, pointing to a pile of hay. Esther sat. She watched him carefully. "You didn't save me out of kindness." "No." William leaned against the barn wall. "I saved you because I need something." "What could you possibly need from an accused witch?" "A cure." Esther almost laughed. "You think I'm a witch who can cure things? The town thinks I curse things. I don't care what the town thinks. I care about what you can do." William's jaw clenched. "I've heard stories. People say you healed old Tom's broken leg, that you cured little Sarah's fever when the doctor couldn't, that you helped Mary Johnson with her female troubles. I know herbs. I know remedies. That's not magic. I don't care if it's magic or medicine. I need your help." William looked away, embarrassed. "I have a problem. A personal problem." Esther waited. William's face turned red. "I can't perform as a man with my wife." Understanding dawned on Esther's face. "You have erectile dysfunction." "Don't say it like that." William snapped. "It's not. I'm not weak. I'm just, something's wrong. It's been 6 months. I've tried everything. Different foods. Different drinks. Prayer. Nothing works." "Have you seen a doctor?" 3 of them. They all said the same thing. "There's nothing physically wrong with me. One suggested it was in my head." William's voice turned bitter. "But it's not in my head. It's real. And it's ruining my marriage." "Why would I help you?" Esther asked quietly. "You were going to let them burn me. I stopped them. Only because you want something from me." "Yes." William met her eyes. "I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I want something. And you want to live. We can help each other. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow morning I'll light that fire myself." Esther believed him. William Cartwright was a man used to getting what he wanted. He didn't make empty threats. "If I help you," she said slowly, "what happens to me? You go free. I'll tell the town I questioned you and found you innocent. I'll say the real witch must be someone else. They won't like it, but they'll accept it. Because I'm William Cartwright and what I say goes. They'll still hate me. Probably. But you'll be alive to be hated." Esther thought about it. She thought about burning. About the pain. About dying for something she didn't do. "All right," she said. "I'll try to help you." William sagged with relief. "Thank you. But I need to examine you. And I need to ask you questions. Personal questions. Whatever you need." For the next hour, Esther asked William about his problem. When it started. How often it happened. What he was doing when it happened. Whether he had any pain or discomfort. William answered, though his face stayed red the whole time. It was humiliating talking about this with a woman, but he was desperate. "And your wife," Esther said. "How does she react?" "Margaret? She's understanding. She says it's fine, that it doesn't matter. But I know it does. A man should be able to satisfy his wife." "Does she pressure you?" "No. The opposite. She seems almost relieved." Esther's eyes narrowed. "Relieved? I mean, she's patient. She doesn't complain." William shifted uncomfortably. "Why does that matter?" "It might matter a lot." Esther stood up. "Take off your shirt." "What? Why?" "I need to check for curses or hexes. They sometimes leave marks on the skin." William hesitated, then unbuttoned his shirt. Esther examined his chest and back in the lantern light. Her fingers traced certain areas, pressing gently. "Do you feel anything when I touch here?" she asked, pressing near his heart. "No." "Here?" She touched his lower back. "A little warmth. Is that normal?" "Maybe." Esther stepped back. "Put your shirt on." While William dressed, Esther paced the barn. Her mind worked through possibilities. She'd seen problems like this before, though rarely. Usually the cause was physical. Sometimes emotional. Occasionally. "I think I can help you," she said finally. "But you have to trust me completely. No questions. No hesitation. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Then give me your hand." William extended his hand. Esther took it in both of hers. She closed her eyes and concentrated. This was the part people called witchcraft. But it wasn't dark magic. It was just knowing, feeling, understanding the body's energy, its flow, its blockages. Esther had been born with this gift. Her grandmother had it too. They could sense things others couldn't, heal things others couldn't. It wasn't evil. It wasn't even particularly special. It was just rare. She felt the energy in William's body, traced it from his heart down through his core. And there she felt it. A knot. A block. Something stopping the natural flow. But it wasn't natural. It was placed there. Deliberately. A curse. Esther's eyes snapped open. Someone cursed you. William went pale. What? There's a block in your energy. A deliberate one. Someone did this to you. Who would do that? Esther didn't answer. Instead, she pressed her palm flat against William's chest. She concentrated harder, pushing her own energy into the block, trying to dissolve it. It resisted at first. Curses always did. But Esther was strong. Stronger than whoever had placed this curse. She pushed harder. The block cracked, then shattered. William gasped. His whole body went rigid, then relaxed. He felt different, lighter, like something heavy had been lifted off him. Is it gone? He asked. Am I cured? Yes. Esther stepped back, breathing hard. Breaking curses took energy. You should be fine now. William laughed. Actually laughed. Relief flooded through him. It's really gone? Thank you. William grabbed Esther's shoulders. Thank you. You don't know what this means. I can go home to my wife and... Wait. Esther's voice was sharp. Before you do that, you need to know something. What? The curse. It came from someone close to you. Someone who has regular access to you. Someone who would benefit from your problem. William frowned. What are you saying? I'm saying the curse came from inside your house. That's impossible. The only people in my house are me, Margaret, and the servants. The servants wouldn't dare. And Margaret. He stopped. His face went white. No, not Margaret. She wouldn't. William. My wife wouldn't curse me. She loves me. Does she? Esther asked gently. Think about it. You said she seemed relieved. That she was patient, understanding. Maybe too understanding? You're wrong. But William's voice lacked conviction. His mind was racing now, remembering things. Small things he'd ignored. How Margaret always seemed happy when he couldn't perform. How she never seemed disappointed. How she'd been sleeping better these past 6 months than she had in years. How she'd started making him special tea every night around the time his problems started. No, William whispered. She wouldn't. Why would she? That, Esther said, is something you'll have to ask her. William didn't go home that night. He couldn't. He sat in the barn, staring at nothing, his mind churning. Esther sat nearby, giving him space. She felt sorry for him despite everything. Learning that someone you love has betrayed you, that was a pain worse than any physical curse. Why? William finally asked. If she did this, and I'm not saying she did, but if she did, why? Only she can answer that. But you must have an idea. You're the one who sensed the curse. Esther hesitated. Curses like this are usually cast for specific reasons. Control. Revenge. Or... She paused. Relief. Relief from what? From unwanted attention. From demands. From marital obligations. William's face darkened. Are you saying my wife cursed me because she didn't want to sleep with me? I'm saying it's possible. But we're married. It's her duty. Duty doesn't mean desire, Esther said quietly. Maybe she was tired. Maybe she needed a break. Maybe she found it all too much but didn't know how to tell you. William stood up and paced. His emotions were a storm: anger, hurt, confusion, betrayal. If this is true, if Margaret really cursed me, what do I do? What do you want to do? I want answers. William's voice echoed in the barn. I want to know why. I want to know if the woman I married, the woman I've shared my life with for 10 years, could really do something like this. Then ask her. And if she admits it? Esther didn't answer. That wasn't her decision to make. William was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Esther. You're free to go. Take my horse. Ride wherever you want. I'll tell the town you escaped during the night. They'll blame me, but I don't care. You're letting me go? Just like that. You kept your promise. You helped me. I'm keeping mine. William managed a bitter smile. Besides, I have bigger problems now than an accused witch. Esther stood. She walked to the barn door, then paused. William, whatever you decide to do, Remember that curses come from pain. Your wife was hurting. That doesn't excuse what she did, but it explains it. Maybe talk before you act. Maybe. William didn't look at her. Or maybe some betrayals are unforgivable. Esther left. She took William's horse and rode into the night, heading far away from Redemption Creek and its narrow-minded people. She was free. She was alive. But somehow she didn't feel happy. She felt sad for William. Sad for Margaret. Sad for two people who'd loved each other once but had let silence and assumptions destroy them. William went home at dawn. The ranch house was large and beautiful, with white walls and a green roof. He'd built it for Margaret as a wedding present. She'd been so happy then. When had that changed? He found Margaret in the kitchen making breakfast. She looked up when he entered, her face brightening. "William, where have you been? I was worried when you didn't come home last night." She was pretty, his wife. Blonde hair, blue eyes, a gentle smile. He'd fallen in love with that smile. Had it all been a lie? "I was dealing with the witch," he said, watching her carefully. Margaret's smile didn't waver. "Oh, did you question her? Is she really a witch?" "She says she's not. But she does have certain abilities." "What kind of abilities?" "Healing abilities. She can break curses." Margaret's hand froze while reaching for a pan. Just for a second. Then she continued moving, smooth as silk. "That's nice. Did she help anyone?" "She helped me." "You? Were you sick?" "You know I was sick, Margaret. I've been sick for 6 months. Or don't you remember?" Margaret set down the pan and turned to face him. Her smile was gone now. "I remember. You had a problem." "Had." Past tense. "The witch cured me last night." "Did she? How wonderful." "She said I was cursed." Margaret went very still. "Cursed?" "Yes. Someone close to me placed a curse that caused my problem. Someone in this house." William took a step toward her. "Can you imagine who would do such a thing?" Margaret's face was pale but composed. "I can't imagine. A servant, perhaps? One of them might have." "It wasn't a servant." William's voice was hard. "It was you." Silence filled the kitchen. Heavy. Dangerous. "That's ridiculous," Margaret said. But her voice shook. "Is it?" The witch was very specific. She said the curse came from someone who had access to me. Someone who would benefit from my inability to perform. Someone who seemed relieved by my problem rather than concerned. "William, you're being paranoid." "Am I?" William grabbed the teapot from the counter. "This tea. The special tea you've been making me every night for 6 months. What's in it?" "Herbs. For your health." "What kind of herbs, Margaret?" "I don't remember the names." "Liar." William threw the teapot against the wall. It shattered. Margaret flinched. "Tell me the truth." William shouted. "Did you curse me?" Margaret's composure cracked. Tears filled her eyes. But there was something else there too. Anger. Resentment. Years of it held back, finally breaking free. "Yes," she screamed. "Yes, I cursed you. Are you happy now?" William felt like he'd been punched. Even though he'd suspected, even though Esther had warned him, hearing Margaret admit it still hurt. "Why? Why?" Margaret laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "You really don't know? You really have no idea? Enlighten me." "Because I was exhausted, William. Because you wanted me every single night. Sometimes twice a night. Sometimes 3 times. I could never rest. I could never just sleep. It was always, 'Come to bed, Margaret,' and 'Let's try this, Margaret,' and 'One more time, Margaret.' I felt like a broodmare." William stared at her. "You never said anything." "Of course I didn't. I'm your wife. It's my duty." "But duties can be exhausting, William. I needed a break. I needed to sleep. I needed one night, just one, where I didn't have to perform." "So you cursed me?" "I didn't mean for it to last this long." Margaret was crying openly now. "I just wanted a few weeks of peace. But the curse was stronger than I expected. And then weeks became months and I was finally sleeping well and I was finally not sore all the time and I was finally happy. So I didn't break it." William felt sick. "You destroyed our marriage for sleep? You destroyed our marriage by treating me like a toy." Margaret shot back. "Do you have any idea what it's like? Night after night, never getting a break? I love you, William, but I don't love that. I can't love that. You should have talked to me. Would you have listened? Would you have stopped?" William opened his mouth to say yes, then closed it. Would he have? If Margaret had told him she was tired, would he have respected that? Or would he have felt rejected? Insulted? Angry? He didn't know. And that uncertainty made him even angrier. "You still should have told me," he said coldly. "Instead you turned to witchcraft. Do you know what the town does to witches, Margaret?" Margaret's eyes widened. "You wouldn't? Why not? You accused Esther Blackwood of being a witch. You were in that crowd yesterday, weren't you? Watching her about to burn. And all along you were the real witch." "William, please. The town deserves to know the truth." William walked to the door. "They deserve to know that the real witch has been living among them all along, cursing her own husband, practicing dark magic right under their noses." "No, William, you can't." But he could, and part of him wanted to hurt her the way she'd hurt him, wanted justice, wanted revenge. He opened the door and called out to his ranch hands, "Samuel, come here." Margaret ran. She didn't think. She just ran. Out the back door, through the garden, heading for the trees beyond the property. But William was faster. He caught her at the edge of the yard, grabbed her arm, spun her around. "Let me go." Margaret struggled. "Please, William. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I'll do anything." Too late for apologies. Samuel and 2 other ranch hands arrived. They looked confused. "Boss? What's going on?" "This woman," William said, his voice carrying across the yard. "My wife, Margaret Cartwright, is a witch. She cursed me. She practices dark magic. She needs to be brought to justice." Margaret screamed. She fought. But the ranch hands were strong. They held her while William sent Samuel to fetch the town. Within an hour, a crowd had gathered. The same crowd that had come to burn Esther yesterday. They looked shocked. Margaret Cartwright? The mayor's wife? A witch? But William told them everything. About his curse. About how the witch, the real witch, had cured him and revealed the truth. About Margaret's confession. Some people were skeptical. But William was persuasive. And convincing. And powerful. When he wanted people to believe something, they believed it. Pastor John looked uncomfortable. "Mayor Cartwright, perhaps we should think about this. Margaret is a respected woman. Your wife. Surely there's been a misunderstanding." "There's no misunderstanding." William's voice was ice. "She confessed. She cursed me with dark magic. She's a witch. And this town knows what we do with witches." They brought out the stake. The same stake Esther had been tied to yesterday. The irony wasn't lost on Margaret. "William, please," she begged as they tied her to the wood. "I love you. I'm sorry. Please don't do this. You should have thought about that before you cursed me. I was just tired. I needed rest. Is that worth killing me over? You didn't care if they killed Esther yesterday. That's different. She was a stranger. And that makes it acceptable?" William shook his head. "You're a hypocrite, Margaret. And a witch. 2 things this town doesn't tolerate." They piled kindling around her. Margaret was hysterical now, screaming and crying and begging. Some people in the crowd looked away. Others watched with grim satisfaction. Pastor John held the torch. His hand shook worse than yesterday. "Margaret Cartwright, you have confessed to witchcraft, to cursing your husband with dark magic. Do you have any last words?" Margaret looked at William. Her face was streaked with tears. "You're a monster. Worse than any witch." William didn't respond. His face was stone. Pastor John lowered the torch to the kindling. "Wait." Everyone turned. A woman pushed through the crowd. It was Esther Blackwood. She'd come back. "You freed her," someone shouted. "The witch escaped." "I wasn't freed," Esther said, looking at William. "I was paid for services rendered. And now I'm returning to set something straight." "Go away," William said coldly. "This doesn't concern you." "But it does." Esther walked closer. "You're about to burn a woman for cursing you. But you should know something first. Curses can be undone without violence. Margaret can remove her curse just as easily as I broke it. She can promise never to practice magic again. Justice doesn't require death." "She deserves death," William said. "She betrayed me. And you're betraying her now. Worse. At least her curse gave you the option of seeking help. You're not giving her any options at all." The crowd murmured. Esther's words made sense. Why kill Margaret if she could simply undo the magic? William's jaw clenched. "She deserves to burn." "No," Esther said quietly. "You want her to burn. There's a difference. You're not seeking justice, William. You're seeking revenge. So what if I am? She hurt me. And now you're hurting her. Worse. You've become the very thing you accused her of being, cruel, selfish, thinking only of yourself." The words hit William like a slap. He looked at Margaret, tied to the stake, terrified. He looked at the crowd, waiting for blood. He looked at himself. What had he become? Cut her down, he said quietly. What? Pastor John asked. I said cut her down. William's voice was stronger now. This is wrong. Esther is right. I'm not seeking justice. I'm seeking revenge. And I won't become a murderer for pride. The crowd was disappointed. But they obeyed. They cut Margaret loose. She collapsed to the ground, sobbing. William walked over and knelt beside her. I'm sorry, he said. For this. For not listening to you. For being excessive. Margaret looked up at him through her tears. I'm sorry too. For cursing you instead of talking to you. For being a coward. What do we do now? I don't know. Margaret wiped her eyes. I don't know if we can fix this. Maybe we can't. William stood up. But we can try. If you want to. Margaret thought about it. About 10 years of marriage. About love and resentment and misunderstanding. About whether any of it could be salvaged. I want to try, she finally said. But things have to change, William. We have to talk. Really talk. About what we both need. What we both want. Agreed. They looked at each other. Damage. But maybe, just maybe, not beyond repair. Esther watched them and felt something warm in her chest. Oh. She turned to leave. Wait, William called. Thank you. For coming back. You didn't have to. I know. Esther smiled. But I promised to help you. I didn't specify which problem. She walked away, leaving Redemption Creek behind. This time for good. As for William and Margaret, they went home. They talked. Really talked. For the first time in years. It was awkward. Painful. Difficult. But it was honest. And honesty, they discovered, was its own kind of magic. Stronger than any curse. More powerful than any spell. They had a long road ahead of them. Trust would need to be rebuilt. Boundaries would need to be set. Compromises would need to be made. But they were willing to try. Because sometimes, the hardest magic to work is the magic of forgiveness. And sometimes, the greatest curse is silence.